Hello and welcome. We're going to do a quick torpedo guide just because there's a lot of missed opportunities for torpedo runs and I want to make sure people know how to do these correctly. If you happen to be using a couple of torpedoes and you want to take out a shield generator really quickly, this is how you do it. This is really commonly known as a sloop run, but you want to go a little bit lower, a little bit closer to the hull. Shoot your torpedoes at around 550 while boosting towards it, and it should make the torpedoes do a little bit more damage than they normally would. So oftentimes when you fire a torpedo at a shield generator, it'll do a fraction of the damage. So Proton torpedoes do about 4,000. Shield generator has 6,000 health. So if I fire this Proton torpedo at the gen from this angle, you should leave it at 33%, but it leaves it at 67%. Same thing for a piercing torpedo. If I fire it from this kind of angle, this kind of normal like bow tie angle, it won't do the maximum amount of damage. Now you should still fire your torpedoes if you get into this kind of angle because it's really important. But you can see they're not doing as much damage as they should. So how do we get those torpedoes to do the maximum amount of damage? Well, you take a much lower angle than normal. You take this angle where, for some reason it's angle dependent, but you take slightly lower and slightly farther back than the Vandersloot angle. It's a little bit tight, so I recommend practicing with it in practice mode. But essentially, you're looking for kind of this midway point between the notch and the rear corner, and you want to put the shield generator right between those. And then you fire your torpedoes right as you come underneath, and that's an instant shield gen pop. That was both torpedoes, one doing the piercing torpedo doing 2,000 damage, and the Proton torpedo doing about 4,000 damage. And again on this side, just make the notch and the corner like right, put the gen right between those, get right under the shield and fire right at 500 meters in. Did it? One of the torpedoes didn't hit, very strange. But, so maybe my angle is a little bit off, but essentially right between here is a good spot. Oh, that piercing torpedo did end up hitting eventually, and there it is. One more for posterity. Fire to engines. And so, normal sloop angle, I don't believe works. I think it's inconsistent, where you put the generator right above the notch. And I'll note really quickly, right, this is a pretty tight timing window, because if you launch that torpedo a little bit too early, it won't work. So if you do a normal sloop one where you put the generator right over the notch, you can see that, well, that time neither torpedo actually hit. They actually hit the hull instead, and the piercing torpedo eventually hit. So you can see that's pretty inconsistent. You want to watch out for that. The other thing that I've heard is that if you aim higher than the gen, it can work better. And that they work, so you can aim a little bit above the generator if you're worried about bumping against, say, the actual hull of the ISD. So let's just launch one more piercing torpedo at this guy right here. Again, I'll note with piercing torpedo in particular, if you only have a piercing torpedo, oh, yep, that did about 33% or so. If you only have a piercing torpedo, it's okay to fire it a little bit early, as long as you fire around 500, 550, just to make sure the enemy doesn't have very much time to stop your run. The last thing is that if you have a tail, if someone's shooting you from behind, just peel off. It's not worth it. Your torpedoes will get shot down if someone's shooting you from the back, and you will have a ton of trouble actually getting a run off without just dying to anything. To some extent, I don't know exactly how much this applies to power. Let's check real quick. So let's try a couple of different angles on power systems here. Ha! Look at me making a guide when I don't know everything. So we'll just try with piercing torpedoes, a front angle, a side angle, and a bottom angle, and see which ones actually work. Let's start with side angle and then a rear angle. These are more common. So 33% is what you're aiming for. That was 16%. So pretty low. Try rear angle. Again, pretty low. And let's try from the bottom. Which normally you wouldn't go out here, but it's like, oh, not early enough. So I'm just watching the targeting computer here, just get a sense of it. There you go. And also very low damage. So what I'm getting from here is torpedoes are really inconsistent against power systems. Good luck. They don't seem to be particularly amazing or anything. Anyway, like, subscribe, and have a good one. May your torpedo runs go well.